We'll call the meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much for being here today. Appreciate all what is. I think it's just under 100. The attendance is just under 100. A good attendance. Good attendance. Yeah. And to those of you watching from home, if you ever want to come and see a meeting live, we can encourage that. So, all right. We'd like to start every meeting by opening the floor. Anyone interested in having a couple minutes where they can address the city? All right, excellent. Then we're going to move on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on item number 3 of the agenda, where we actually approve the agenda.
Motion.
Jamie, thank you.
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. We have an agenda. Let's have a meeting. Number 4 is the consent agenda. This is where Chris gets to start.
This is going to be a long one, so bear with me. Minutes from March 22, 2016 and March 24, 2016. Recommendation is to approve the minutes of the March 22, 2016 City Council meeting and the March 24, 2016 Special City Council meeting as presented. Authorization for the police chief to execute agreement resolution number 2016-25. Recommendation to approve resolution number 2016-25, a resolution authorizing the chief of police to execute agreement for Minnesota Court Data Services. 3, request to approve fire department captain. Recommendation is to approve appointing Adam Lubbers to the position of captain of the Cold Spring Fire and Rescue Department. 4, approval of annual liquor licenses. Recommendation to approve the 2016 on-sale intoxicating liquor licenses for the Sidebar, Great Blue Heron, Grumpy's, Winter Sports Bar and Grill, and River Oaks. To approve the 2016 club on-sale liquor license for the American Legion. To approve the 2016 subsidiary off-sale intoxicating liquor licenses for the Sidebar, Great Blue Heron, Grumpy's, and Winter Sports Bar and Grill. To approve the 2016 freestanding off-sale intoxicating liquor licenses for Teal's Liquor and Keith's Liquor. To approve the 2016 microbrewer off-sale malt liquor license for Cold Spring Brewing Company. To approve the 2016 Sunday liquor licenses for the Sidebar, Great Blue Heron, Grumpy's, American Legion, Winter Sports Bar and Grill, and River Oaks. To approve the 2016 on-sale Brewers Tap Room license for the Cold Spring Brewing Company. To approve the 2016 2 a.m. licenses for the Sidebar and Winter Sports Bar and Grill. To approve the 2016 on-sale 3.2 liquor licenses for Cold Spring Lanes and Cold Spring Amateur Baseball. To approve the 2016 off-sale 3.2 liquor license for Super America. To approve the 2016 wine license for Cold Spring Bowling Lanes. And to approve the 2016 Bottle Club liquor license for Cold Spring Lanes. Finally, to approve the 2016 tobacco licenses for Grumpy's, Teal's Liquor, Keith's Brothers, Inc., Keith's Liquor, Inc., Teal's Market, Super America, Holiday, and Prince Tobacco No. 2.
Well done. Well done. Council, any questions about any of that? If not, then can we get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Jan, thank you. Can we get a second?
Second.
Jamie, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Congratulations. And again, Chris, thank you. All right, number 5, personnel policy revision. Chris?
As we were preparing paperwork for the hiring of our city administrator position, it came to my attention that one of the requirements in our personnel policy was, it basically just stated all full-time employees needed a pre-employment physical. And it was something that really hadn't been considered much in the administration department ever. And so I just contacted Sue and I said, do you think this is something we need to do? And she said no. She said it's generally not done in administrative positions. You can, but you certainly don't need to. So I'm recommending, and so is she, that we just change our policy and exempt the administrative positions from that. And she said that wouldn't eliminate them from the requirements to do any of the physical work that comes with the job. You just don't really need a physical to prove you can do it.
So in your packets, you see that you have a page that towards the top of the page, it's 5.4, pre-employment medical exams, and you can see the red lines. That's what we're considering changing. Any questions? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Jamie, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
And Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Excellent, thank you. We have a change in our policy. Okay?
Right.
Then I believe we're on to number 6. Now, this is the exciting part.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is approve a hiring of the city administrator. Fran and Bob and I were on the hiring committee together, along with 4 other staff. Do one of you want to take it from there?
Fran?
No, you can.
Fran?
You can.
Okay. What we did, just for everybody, so everybody knows, again, some of the people that were on the board are here. What we did was simply, we put out an advertisement, we got a number of applicants, we went through the applications, decided who we were going to hire, and again, remember please, that we have a history, we have a past, and so we were trying to be very careful that we did everything methodically and everything very carefully. And so we took our time, and we went through everything very slowly, very carefully, again, very methodically. But I think what we ended up with is an extremely talented, a wonderful candidate. And in a moment, we're going to go to deal with the recommendation. But I have to tell you that first of all, I'm very thankful to those of you here tonight that were on the committee. I thank you again. Those of the people that are not on the committee that aren't here tonight, I thank them as well. Chris, Fran, thank you. It was a lot of work. We put a lot of effort, a lot of emotion into it. But again, I think we had a wonderful end result, and I think the city is in for a big surprise, and it's going to be incredible. It really truly is. By the way, have I said that before? I'm really excited about this. So, number 6. Would you read that recommendation, please?
I would. Recommendation is to approve the contract for the city administrator and to approve the hiring of Bridget Murphy for the position of city administrator according to the terms of the contract.
I'll make that motion.
Fran, thank you. Can I get a second? Motion, Jan, you seconded it? Perfect, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Fantastic. Bridget, thank you. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you would be kind enough, please, have a chair up here. Now that you have, now that we've offered you the position, now you have the opportunity to say yes or no.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have ourselves a city administrator. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, Bridget, if you would be comfortable, give us a 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. Tell us about Bridget. Tell everybody that needs to know who you are so we can be excited.
I am Bridget Murphy. I live in Eden Valley Township, so just outside of town, with my husband and 2 children. I currently work for Anoka County District Court as the Criminal Division Manager. So I supervise all of the criminal processing for court administration in Anoka. And before that, I was with Mille Lacs County, supervising in court administration. And before that, I was with court administration, running the Stearns County Drug Court. So I have about 16 years in the court administration side, so public administration, but under the judicial branch. And now I'm just excited to come into the executive side and take the experiences I've learned and building relationships with justice partners on the criminal side and using that experience to build relationships on the civil side, on the administrative side.
Excellent. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
I think I can ask you, when do you anticipate beginning your first day in our city hall, in our office?
I'm hoping for May 8th, but I can make that earlier
Okay,
if that's what.
May 8th?
It's okay.
A Monday?
I'm good with that.
May
Okay.
8th? All right, May 8th it is.
All
And
right.
again, thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate everyone's work on the committee and your support of me. I hope I don't disappoint.
We don't think that'll
I
happen.
don't think I will. I'll try hard not to.
Can you drive a plow truck?
I can drive, well, my own plow truck in my yard. I don't know about a big city one, but I bet I could.
Because if John gets sick, we need a plow truck driver.
May 8th is
I'm ready.
lawnmowers.
Yeah, there you go.
I can do that. Like, whatever you need, I'm available.
Bridget, when you're not driving plow truck, can I ask you one other question? It was just brought to my attention that May 8th may be a Sunday.
Oh, is it the 9th then?
Would you be willing to start
Sure,
on the 9th?
well, I would gladly start on Sunday, but I will move it to Monday. the
Okay,
9th.
excellent, thank you. Then we're going to have you start on Monday, May the 9th.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you so much, appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, get to know her, wonderful lady. All right,
Something about that.
now we're going to start on item number 7 of the agenda. Wenner Development Agreement and Restrictive Covenants. Chris?
Well, we've been working with Wenners, and when I say we, myself, Sue Cadlick, Brian Lynchen, John Stevie, ironing out kind of the last-minute details of their project, going back through everything since last summer, making sure all the items we discussed and worked out with them are in here, and I think we have come to an agreement. They've already signed it, and they're asking the city to sign it. And there is attached with it a number of exhibits, and then a list of restrictive covenants, which both of these documents will be recorded against their property, and the restrictive covenants just lay out some further stipulations of things that, about their property that they need to do, so. I don't know if anybody has any questions on any of it, or?
Brian, I know I'm breaking protocol, but can I ask you to do me a favor, please? Can you sit up here just for a moment? Because you're going to be here in a minute anyway, and we want to include you in this. And John, you probably anticipated this. Can you also join us up here? What we want to do is, as much as you can, in a brief moment, give us this is a multiple-page document, okay? Give us the highlights so everybody here, everybody at home understands roughly what it is that we've been so excited about getting to this point.
So I think like Chris was saying, the restricted covenants get recorded with the property. It's things like, throughout the process, we had talked about irrigation along the streetscaping. That's one of the things that gets recorded so that they know that they have to provide us irrigation like they had talked about. I know another one of the things that we had looked at in there was the maintenance agreement, the maintenance on their storm sewer. They have some of those underground infiltration chambers. We want to make sure that whoever is the property owner down the road knows that those things have to be maintained and some sort of protocol for maintaining them. Because ultimately what comes from their storm sewer comes into our storm sewer, so we want to make sure it's maintained. Those are the big ones off the top of my head that I know that I kind of had some input on.
Maintenance of the roads.
Oh, yeah. So maintenance of where they're using part of Fifth Avenue where we have right-of-way in there. They're using part of that. We wanted to make sure, and our agreements with them early on were that anything that was right-of-way that they're using for their development, that they have to maintain that. So it's still in the right-of-way, but it is now their responsibility to maintain those roads. If they fall apart, theirs to fix, to plow, etc. Kind of some of the same things with sewer and water as well.
Excellent. What?
Kind of a good summary of all these meetings over the past several months.
Isn't it?
I think it is. And again, I want to thank you guys for representing the city. Again, it's nice to be excited about the new development, but at the same time, we want to be very careful that what we're getting is a project that's good for the city. And it sounds like the three of you have done very nicely with maintaining and preserving and protecting the city's interests. So again, we'd like to thank you guys for that. Before we approve it, which is the next thing, is there a reason we should not approve it? Is there a reason we should approve it?
All the things that are listed.
Okay, excellent. So,
And as long as, maybe just a real quick update if it's all right. So this is a big step, we've been working a long time on this, getting these signed. They paid all their fees to us. We've signed the Mylars for the plat, and so that's in their hands now to get that recorded. And once the plat is recorded, and we have a couple small loose ends to tie up, I think that, they could take out their building permits, so they're getting closer. The ball's in their court to finish up on a few things, but getting closer. Recommendation is to approve the development agreement and restrictive covenant agreement with the Wenner Company.
council questions, comments? All right, then I need a motion, please.
Make a motion.
Dave?
I'll second it then.
John? Jamie has made the motion, Dave Dave seconded, thank you. Discussion, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. And again, council, thank you for your work on this as well. Winners, congratulations, we're one step closer. This is, again, I said it before and I'll say it again, this is exciting. Cold Spring, you continue to grow, develop. What other adjective should I be using?
You got it.
This is good. Prosper, thank you. This is the good stuff. All right, item agenda number 8 on the agenda. Public Works Director, John.
All right, I kind of got a long list here of things, so I'm just going to run through them, and then if Chris wants to read the recommendations, then.
Okay.
Number 1 is the sweep sand pile. It's basically all the sand we pick up off the streets. There's hazardous material in there, so Kramer's is going to screen that for us and get rid of the debris, and then we can reuse the sand as well. It's $2,000. Royal Tire, the new plow truck we bought last year, we found out that the tires on it didn't work very well for plowing snow. We had to put chains on right away. So Ron would like to purchase 4 new tires for that. From Royal Tire for $431.30 per tire for a total of $17.25 and lawn sprayer, just the spring application. We've used Total Lawn Care in the past. Just the spring application alone was a total of $4,177. And it was brought to my attention last fall already that we'd like to purchase a lawn sprayer. And it only makes sense. It'll go on the back of our Gator. John Atchison, our parks guy, is more than willing to spray the lawns. So we're just going to kind of take on that role ourselves. You don't need an applicator's license because we're not for hire. Just maybe some training for John on the sprayer and the chemicals and things like that, because they are, hazardous chemicals and stuff. But so we'd like to purchase a lawn sprayer for the Gator from FNS Manufacturing for $2,315. And like I said, just their spring application alone, we spend $4,177, so it pays for itself instantly. And it's a 100-gallon tank with a Honda motor and a 12-foot boom. We'll do all of our city properties with that.
Where do you all spray?
All the parks, water, wastewater, but pretty much everything the city owns that's grass.
Okay. All the wells.
Yep, wells, towers,
Okay.
lift stations. So it's actually quite a bit. And then the other thing was, we've actually received the 3-point aerator last fall, but now we're looking to purchase it. They kind of just let us use it to see if it's something we were interested in. And is in the budget to purchase it. It's $2,500 from Schrodens Incorporated. And that goes on the back of the tractor. Ground storage retaining wall estimate. There's a retaining wall up by ground storage on the west end of town there. It's actually on the inside of the fence. It's like some old timbers. They're all kind of fallen in. On the outside, you can see there's a nice, I don't know what color you consider it, kind of like a rusty maroon reddish color retaining wall on the outside of that. So we're going to match the inside with that. It was in the budget, I believe, for quite a bit more than what John Atchison has an estimate on everything for it. And he came from a landscaping field, so we're all going to kind of pitch in and tackle it ourselves. But attached to that is the estimate for that, $2,595. So those are the things I got. You got any questions on those?
Do we have to do the recommendations, or can we do them all at once?
Probably one at a time, huh?
Okay, let's do them one at a time. Chris?
All right. For the sand pile screening, recommendation is to approve Kramer Trucking and Excavating to screen stockpiled sand to remove hazardous waste for a cost of $2,000. Furthermore, to be paid from line item 1150516314.
Approve it.
I'll make a motion.
Jamie, thank you. Second it.
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. Motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent, thank you.
The next one is to purchase tires. A recommendation to approve the purchase of 4 new plow truck tires from Royal Tire at a cost of $1,725.20. Furthermore, to be paid for from line item 1150516313.
Motion, please.
I'll make that.
Jan, thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent, thank you. Chris?
Next one, purchase lawn sprayer. To approve the purchase of a lawn sprayer from FS Manufacturing for $2,315. Furthermore, to pay 80% from parks, 10% from water, and 10% from wastewater.
Council?
I'll make a motion.
Dave, thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Jamie, thank you. Motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent, thank you again. Chris?
Purchase lawn aerator. Recommendation to approve the purchase of a 3-point lawn aerator from Schrodens, Inc. for $2,500. Furthermore, to be paid for from line item 1165666311.
Council?
I'll make that motion.
Jan, thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent, thank you very much. Chris, again.
Ground storage retaining wall. To approve purchasing materials to rebuild the existing retaining wall at the ground storage site at a cost of $2,595. Furthermore, to be paid for from line item 1370716411.
And council.
I'll make that motion.
Jan, thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Approved again. Very good. Thank
Couple
you.
other items I have. We got a grant application in the mail for a noise barrier fence along Highway 23. We did some work on that. Basically, it would start from County Road 49, and this would be on the north side of 23, all the way down to roughly like Ron's house on Louis Street. And it's like 2,135 feet long. But we found out the grant application is a 10% city match, and it's quite expensive. The total project would be $800,000, so the city would have to pay $80,000. I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in. We just brought it up for discussion, but
John, when is the grant application due?
is it May, early May, I think.
Okay?
It was at the beginning of May, because
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, so if we approved it or disapproved it at the next meeting, that would be soon enough. But in the meantime, can we talk about what this means? And again, what I'm trying to do is get from you as much information as we can get. Let us talk about it, let us get some feedback, and then make a decision. Is that okay? Do we have time for that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we could wait till the next meeting to make a decision.
Okay, excellent. All right, council, what questions, what concerns do you have with regards to it? Jan?
The one question I have is, I see the map with the linear, would the wall be constructed south of the trail or north of the trail?
South of the trail, I believe.
So between the highway and the trail, in there right away.
And I don't know a whole lot about it really. We just kind of threw this together and got it ready. Because there's like a decibel thing you have to fill out online, and
Right.
I went out there, I borrowed a decibel reader from Stantec and went out there and read it myself. And I don't know what the wall would be constructed out of. You know, you drive down the cities and you see those walls all over. I don't know exactly what material it would be. It's just kind of a standard through the state, I think, so I'm not sure what the materials or nothing like that. But
Do you know what the height or anything?
I have no idea. It
No,
didn't say.
okay.
I'm guessing they would probably look at, it'd be site-specific for the height. They'd have
Okay.
to look at, probably do a little more investigation as to what the noise is, elevations, because they are up on a hill a little bit.
Yeah, I was
there.
gonna say
Right.
that the houses are up on top. I don't know how much a barrier is gonna do with,
At road level would help up.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't a whole lot of money to begin with in it, so for like this project is quite expensive. I don't even know if there was enough money to cover this whole project itself, so
Okay.
it's just something we threw together and
And again, thank you for that. But because again, we're always looking for an opportunity to make the city better, and getting grants makes it easier for us to do that. And people that live along there have approached us before, asking for something like this. But my concern is if we're going to be building it on the south side of the trail, are we going to be at some point or in some fashion impeding potential business properties, whether we're blocking things, whether, are we somehow impeding business properties? And
I don't think in that location we would be, because pretty much between the trail, where that fence would go in 23, I don't think there's anything buildable.
There's
It's all
nothing
ditch.
in between.
It's not no
There's
wide
no-
enough area to.
Once you get on kind of the east side of 149, you know, you got potential towards like the winter project and things like that for buildings, but this would all be on the west side. And I don't really think there'd be any room or any buildable lots there.
Okay. Okay, so if you can come back with any information whatsoever for the next meeting with regards to, first of all, is it even prudent that we're going to get, like you said, if there's only $700,000 in the pool and we're asking for $800,000, my best guess is we're not going to be successful.
Right.
Okay, so if you can get some of that kind of information, and then any other things that of information that you can share with us so that we can make a decision. And then council, if you have questions, get in touch with John, so that we can get our questions answered. But again, what I would ask is, can you put it on the agenda for next meeting? And at the next meeting, we'll make a determination about whether or not to proceed with that?
Yeah, I think ultimately food for thought for you guys is just, are you willing to spend the 10%? I mean, we can submit the application, and it costs to us. It's just, are we willing to submit, or to contribute 10%? If I read it right, Chris? Mm-hmm. So,
Well-
whatever the cost is,
Okay, thank you for that. It's time, do we have 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to take 2 minutes. Let's talk theory then. In a theoretical world, whether it's 8,000 or 80,000, council, would you be willing to, if they can give us some form of assurance that this is going to work, would you be willing to spend 8,000 or 80,000? So it's a theoretical question. Would you be willing to spend the money? It's not budgeted. We don't know where it would come from. Would you be willing to spend it?
You looking for yes or no answers?
Okay.
No.
No?
I'd be
Okay.
very hesitant
I'd
unless
be
they
very,
can.
very hesitant.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be 80,000, yeah, I'd hesitate on it
That's
too.
a big number.
I mean,
That is.
we'd have to have some pretty strong indication that it's actually going to make an improvement or make a change. And then it would have to be budgeted. We wouldn't be able to just
Yeah, just do
pull
it.
it out of the air.
I think that where the houses are sitting and Highway 23 sits down, you put say a 12-foot wall there, all that noise is still gonna go up. That's just my opinion, I don't know.
As a person who lives right there and uses that trail, if there was a 12-foot wall next to that trail, I don't know how much of a deterrent that would be for people using the trail. You feel like you're walking in a box.
See, because it's high on this
They
side
have
and then
to,
you have
because
a wall on
they
this
couldn't put it
side.
down into the ditch. They'd have to put it up by the trail or how far out. So my first gut feeling is no, I wouldn't spend 80 grand to put a wall up there. I understand the idea because I live there. I know what the noise is like, especially the semis, but you know, you get used to it. I'm used to it. I sleep well at night.
And I think it's a cost utility thing. And again, I don't know anything about how sound waves move. Would going back to the example given, a 12-foot wall with a semi-noise up on a hill, is it going to matter?
Tough to say. It's almost something that I think people, their entire career is dedicated to studying and analyzing those kind of things and looking at it, because I've heard of where, and please take it, I'm by no means an expert, but where sometimes it'll work for the people that are close and then it might bounce over and be noisier for, people behind might still hear it. So they aren't always the end all be all for noise either.
It could create an echo.
It could, and
Yeah.
and I think if you're really serious about it, you would almost, and I think if you were to get the grant, then that's when people would really start looking at what height of wall would it take in order to avoid the noise, and I have no clue as to what it might do.
The other thought is, even if they put the wall up on the ridge, way up,
wouldn't want to look at that on my patio, I'll tell you. that.
Right, but that's, with the elevation, that's probably where it would do more good than
Very
down
likely.
below.
But they would only pick their own
Like
right of way to
along
put it in.
Louise
Yeah.
Street, it wouldn't be able to do it anyway.
No,
Well,
Because that goes from the street and it goes right down,
yep.
straight down almost there.
And Fran brings up a valid point too, the idea that more than likely, if this is going to be a state project, they're going to put it on state right-of-way. They're not going to go out and acquire new right-of-way, they're going to put what they already have. So more than likely, it's not going where it's going to do the most good. So, short answer, John, thank you again. It sounds like the council's not a big supporter of of this particular thing, but again, bring it back and let's make a vote on it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, once we found out about the 10% match, we kind of figured that was the case, but
Okay? And again, thank you. Again, I seriously think that we have to keep pursuing ways that we can make it better, but this just may not be that opportunity.
right.
Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, because we tried it with Chris, Chief Chris, about speed limits and no jake braking and stuff like that, but like Chief Chris said one time, you can't stop tire noise no matter what, so the rest of it we can control, but we can't control tire noise.
Yep, very true. John, you got anything else for us tonight?
I do not.
Well, then if you're all right with it, I'm going to ask the council if they have any questions, and if they don't, we're going to go right past you.
That's cool.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for John?
No.
Okay, then John, we're going to go right past you. Brian, I believe you're next.
All right. I got a number of things. We'll maybe start on County Road 2 since it's kind of the A topic. Thursday of this week, we find out who the low bidder is, 11 o'clock. So we will know more in a couple days.
Do you know what the bid activity's been like?
We've gotten a number of questions. I expect a lot more tomorrow and the day following. It tends to be a rush right at the end. It's like a lot of people do things last minute, so do contractors. So there tends to be a flood of questions at the end. But I think there's a fair amount of people on the bidder list. I think it's generated quite a bit of interest. It's a big project. They tend to.
It's an all or nothing. There's not separate bids for separate pieces.
No, it's all or not. In being that, yeah, one contractor will take the entire project.
The one contractor will be the general, but they may sub out pieces and parts.
Very likely. And the reason we did it all as one project is just because to try and time two separate projects for two different contractors who have no relationship to one another, it gets touchy in a hurry. So you want one general.
Wait, Brian,
Yeah.
something that's come up before, and I think this is a great opportunity to ask you this question. This is a really big project for the city of Cold Spring, right? And we should be celebrating and embracing this, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Okay, so after they know the bids and everything, can they determine when they're going to break ground? And can we actually make a big deal out of breaking ground, getting this project started and all of that? Could you at least ask the county if they'd be amenable to something like that?
I'm sure if we wanted to, we could.
I mean, get the council out there and for a photo op and get what an opportunity. Let's embrace this thing,
Some gold shovels.
okay? Right?
Yeah.
I'm serious. This is a big deal. Why not? Let's not pretend it's not. It's a big deal. Can we do it? And if the councils will, or if the county is willing to allow it, can you at least just ask the question?
Yeah, I think we probably could.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
All right. If you noticed, utility companies have started some of their relocations up by the roundabout. We have some new gas main that's in. We have some new power lines. I think telephone companies close behind. So things are happening. And then we're still working with Excel. In fact, we're going to meet with them again on Thursday of this week. Talk about the downtown relocations. We got a local electrician to come on behalf of the city and go through and look at, there's certain portions of the wire relocations that are our responsibility, where we're relocating meters on houses, like say we're going from overhead to underground. There's costs associated with that outside of what Excel does. And we knew this going in, that there would be some of these. So we kind of have a rough plan from Excel. So we felt it was time to bring an electrician in on behalf of the city. He's gone through and looked at a lot of the places where we're gonna have to modify how power comes into businesses, those sort of things. Get power from, on commercial properties, especially from, say, the transformer to the business, because that's not owned by Excel on a commercial property. On a residential it is, but on a commercial, from the transformer to the business is owned by the business. So that's something the city would then be putting in for that business, because we're the ones that are requesting this big change. So we're gonna get some of that information come Thursday, really try and nail down exactly where we're moving things, and then get Dan Crone started on obtaining easements for a lot of this. And we need the easements because even where there's existing power right now, the Excel has prescriptive rights, which means they have the right to maintain the equipment that's already there. They don't have the right to upgrade it. It means it's been there so long that it just is there. So if we're gonna upgrade it, we have to obtain an actual easement for them to work in.
Geyer Rental has these trailers, informational trailers, light up, words and stuff. Would it be like for us, the city, like over on the side of town, having informational, like keep changing it, like First Street is closed, Second Street is closed, or businesses are open, where not the city still, is that a cost? How much the cost would that be to the project?
I don't know it's something we could necessarily do through the project at this point. It might not be a bad idea for the city to consider, especially and maybe in conjunction with the downtown businesses. Maybe everybody chips in a little and we get a sign that advertises the downtown businesses are still open. Use.
Yeah, they have those trailers with those big signs, and I'm just all through the project, always, when people drive past, maybe Second Street is closed, flashing that, but First Street is open. Businesses are open downtown, and then a little bit say, like, you have to go around Second Street to go get it, just some informational to keep things moving yet, even though there are barriers.
I think that's a great idea. There kind of are going to be there's going to be an official detour for folks that don't have business in town. We really want them to avoid going through town, just because it will be difficult for them to get through. There's going to be a larger detour. And then there's going to be essentially in-town routes that we're going to try to maintain for people to get through town, because we understand that people who live in town are not going to drive to Rockville to come around. So we're going to maintain some other areas, and those will be signed as well. But they are going to change, and I think a sign would be a good idea, and especially to promote that businesses downtown are still open. I think that'd be huge. Maybe we put it up by 23 and just to advertise that, downtown businesses are open, or, they're running a special, or, something.
I don't know how much information you can put on those signs at one time, so.
Not a whole lot, because they're for at a glance, so you can't have sentences, it has to be short and sweet.
I was just wondering if something like that
I think it'd be a good idea.
would help.
We can definitely look into it.
Use them for fish fries, so.
And it works for that. But again, we've talked about that, the council have talked about that. Dan Stile got that grant so that we can help with the communications and all that. Again, how do we better communicate? We talked about using social media. That might help with some of the things. This sign might help with some of the things. The city's website might help with some of the things. This isn't an all or nothing. This is all of the things together. How do we make it better? Brian, can you help us find some basic information? John, get some basic information, if we can do it, and then we'll go back to the chamber and say, folks, what do you think? Okay?
And even with coordinating with the chamber, if they put their members, put it on their own websites and whatever that say. Pardon the construction, you can reach us by Second. Pardon our construction, you can get to us on Third Avenue, or hit them from all sides so people know where we are.
Exactly, so everybody can tell you. Yep.
Or we point them down, maybe at the lights by Main Street down by Keys, and access to downtown businesses, or,
Yeah.
somewhere to get them where they need to go.
Or even by Teals over here.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, any other questions on Red River?
Getting excited to get it started.
It'll be soon.
I am.
So at the
All
next
this talk,
meeting,
all these years.
at the next meeting, we'll have the bids figured out. The county will have approved it contingent upon us approving it. So they have a meeting next week, and then we have one the following. So after we approve it, theirs will be contingent upon ours. So just a heads up, you'll see that next meeting. If no more questions on Red River, we'll move to Main Street. Projects for the next year. We've started looking at the feasibility report. One of the things that comes with the feasibility report, we want to look at the condition of the existing sewer. Some of the sewer through there is newer. I think it was put in 1980-ish time frame, and it indicates on the record drawings it's PVC. So it's something, and even if it were clay, it's still something we want to investigate. We want to see where the services are. We want to learn a little more about it. So what we've done in the past is we've gone out and gotten a company to come in to televise. So they bring in a truck, has a little, almost like a little tractor, like think of the sprinkler tractors, drives through the pipe, has a camera. We look at the condition of the pipe. It also has a camera that shoots off that we can look at all the service pipes that go to the businesses. So we went out, we gathered a bunch of quotes on that, and the noon today was the deadline. So you didn't have it in advance in your packets, but I can give you kind of the low dollar price and the range that we dealt with. And if you're comfortable approving it tonight, we can do that. If you want to think about it some more, we can wait until the next meeting as well. But if we approve it tonight, it just keeps that process moving. They would probably, I think I had them having the work done by the end of May, somewhere in that time frame. So it's information we need to keep moving on the project.
And these are project costs that will be part of the bill that will get paid when we do Main Street, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
Okay? Why don't you give us some numbers so we can see how comfortable we are with moving forward?
So our range was about 6,650, so 6,650 to about 8,550. I have an exact number if you do want to approve the low. And we solicited 4 firms that do this. 3 returned a bid. One of them contacted me right away, said they did not have the ability to televise the laterals from the main. So that camera that goes down the sewer main can do it off the laterals, and then we don't have to go knock on individual businesses' doors.
All right, do you have confidence in the low bid? I mean, would that be your recommendation?
Yeah, my recommendation would be the low bid.
What was the cost for doing Red River?
It's a great question, and I don't have that answer in front of me.
Okay,
I wish I did. I don't.
yeah.
Just looking at where they're sitting, I think it's a very reasonable cost.
Council, you ready to make a decision tonight, or would you rather have some time to think about it and then make a decision at the next meeting?
No.
I would like to have
Make it
the
tonight.
number, put it in and do the bid, or do the recommendation tonight.
Yep,
Me too.
Me too.
Yep.
Again, I agree, it doesn't make any sense in this particular case to postpone it. We got to make the choice. So I believe we're on 9C, but I'm going to have to read the recommendation here. No, I don't. Brian, you can read the recommendation.
Sure. So the recommendation would be to approve the low bid for televising all sewer pipes on the Main Street Improvement Project. The company would be Empire Pipe Services. And the cost is $6,653.60. 60.
Did we ever have them before, Brian?
I think we have. There's a limited number of companies that actually do this. There's ones they're kind of from all over the state, and Empire is actually from North Mankato.
Oh,
We've had ones from Aiken. There's ones from all over.
those guys with those blue trucks, huh?
Yeah, they usually have a big vac truck. They come and clean the line, and then they televise it.
Uh-huh.
The number was 6650.60?
6653.60.
6653. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Jan, thank you. Can we get a second?
Second.
Jamie, thank you. Got a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Fantastic. Keep the project moving.
All right, so that brings me into my second item on Main
You just
Street.
did this one.
Soil borings. When we go into a project, we like to know what's underground. We have to design the pavement section based on what the soils are. So how thick, how much gravel, how much bituminous. So we're looking at doing a couple of soil borings. We're also doing a number of borings right by the bridge because we know there's granite in there. We aren't really replacing anything. The water main is new through there. But if you're going west on Main Street, you come across the bridge and there's kind of a hump. Depending on where the rock is, we'd like to take some of that out. But that's, so we're doing some extra borings down there, basically just to determine where's the bedrock. So we talked to 4 different testing firms, received a range of numbers anywhere from 2,600 to 7,100.
Whoa.
I was surprised as well. So kind of the same thing as the televising. If you're comfortable approving it tonight, we can go with, I have confidence in the low bidder. They've done a lot of work for us before. So the low bidder is Independent Testing Technologies, ITT, for $2,600, excuse me, $2,606.00.
Council, what do you think?
Let's do it.
I'm
Let's
comfortable.
do it?
Yep.
All right, then we need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Jamie, thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. Motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Brian, keep it moving.
Any other questions on Main Street? Okay, moving on, I'm gonna skip over the infiltration project and we'll come back to it, talking about a stormwater grant. So the infiltration project that we're gonna talk about next was a grant that we had talked about last year, basically to treat stormwater. We were gonna put some underground infiltration areas in the neighborhoods. I was contacted by a different agency, the Sauk River Watershed District, and they had some grant monies that were available that Cold Spring could use. They were trying to use up some grant monies before they expire. So we talked with, John and I talked about it, and with Chris as well, about some of the options, some of the things we could do. Initially, it sounded like it was a 100% grant, no match. Later when we talked to them, it was it ended up being, it was a 25% match that we would have to do. John and Chris and I talked about it. We said based on what we were gonna do, based on everything else that's going on in the city right now, we weren't in a position to do a match. They came back to us and said, we'd really like you to spend some of this money. And where the match has come back, they need about $2,500 or $3,000 yet to satisfy the match. So some of that's already been spent in the time that we've spent investigating it. My time, John's time, Chris's time, all counts towards that. So the question, it's a greater question for you. They have about 22,000 left. What we'd be doing is essentially planting trees that collect stormwater. So we would plant a boulevard tree. We would cut out a curb cut, so the curb would come down. You'd have a flat spot where water could run out of the gutter and then into a depression around the tree. So essentially, you're taking street water, putting it by this tree, you're watering the tree, and if it fills up enough, the water just runs past.
You put them where there's an existing boulevard tree, you swap out?
You would put a new tree in.
Okay.
So that's one of the complications here is we would have to go around and try to talk to, we would probably do it in conjunction with our other infiltration project, try to talk to some of those property owners and say, would you be interested in a boulevard tree here that you wouldn't have to pay for? So that's an option, we can do it. You know, when there
All
was-
the areas in that little area that was kind of designated,
Mhm.
some of those streets don't necessarily have boulevards, do they? I mean, there's
Some
no
don't.
sidewalks, there's no,
Some don't, and you could put it between the curb and the sidewalk. It gets tougher to do it there because then you have a lot more grades to work with.
right?
I mean, they've done them and St. Cloud has done these before on reconstruction projects where they've actually built retaining walls around the backside. And so we wanted to stay away from that because it gets expensive in a hurry and more maintenance. And they had originally talked about us putting them on Red River Avenue, and we decided that they don't really fit with that project. You know, they were better suited for residential neighborhoods. And I think in future residential neighborhood projects, when we have those in the future, we'll probably go after something like this. It's a little more difficult when you have to retrofit them.
How soon do we have to say yes? How soon do we have to apply for the grant, and then how long do we have to spend the grant?
We really don't have to apply for it. We have to say yes if we want it.
Okay?
And
And when
then
do
we
we have to, when do we have to say yes?
We haven't, she's looking for an answer very soon.
Okay?
And then we have until the end of the year to spend the money.
Okay?
So the anticipation would be is if we decide to do this, we would put it as part of this infiltration project that we're gonna go out for bid for in about 2 weeks.
Okay?
Quick throw some in.
Okay? Council, talk to me theory again. Do you have any interest at all in having to come up with a couple of $1,000 to put in a bunch of trees that's going to infiltrate some water? Again, you can make an argument that this is a really, really good idea. You can make an argument that using grant money makes it less expensive for Cold Spring, but we're also doing it quickly. And so, is that a concern? Talk to me. What do you think?
My first thought is because of the infiltration and all the different standards that they're going to be putting on the city for future projects, that it's a benefit for us to do those, because then we're ahead whenever we have to do more projects. We've got the infiltration piece of it started. To me, 2,000 or 2,500 is a pretty minimal investment versus 80,000.
Start to be compliant.
Yeah, it's not an expensive way to find out how it works, how good it works or how bad it works. You know, we do another project and in the residential area, we will know what it's like to put one in, so.
And if it makes an impact.
Yep, it
Yeah.
matters. Jamie?
I agree with Jan. It's a minimal amount, I think, is enough.
Let's do it.
benefit.
Fran, my only comment when you were describing it, my only comment was, and John, you were at the same meeting. We were talking with a company, and we had state legislators there talking about the fact that the DNR and their requirements with regards to surface water and drilling wells and all that kind of stuff. And we said, no, we're not taking this lightly. We've stuck a lot of time. We've done a lot of things to improve how we handle surface water, how we handle all that. And they said, we've seen that, we appreciate that, but you need to do more. So this might be that more that goes along with it. So I don't think it's a bad deal if we can do it well. Do you guys feel comfortable that we can find proper locations and do it well? Again, we're asking you to do something we've never tried before. Can you do it well?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
call
we
it a
do
good
well. The
investment.
location is the key for the whole deal. I mean, Brian and I have had extensive conversation about it, and it's not something you want to see on Red River and like the Main Street. It's something you want to see out in a residential area because are they the prettiest things? No. I mean, will they work? Probably, but I think it's strictly a residential thing out, where it could spruce up the curb line and the streetscaping.
So how much of that is it going to cover? 2 blocks?
It's gonna cover about 6 or 7 of them. So it won't be one, it's not gonna be at every location we do one of the others. We'll have to talk to the property owner, see who's interested.
You kind of have to do an impact study and figure out if we're doing this here, what works here and there, and.
Right, and we may actually, we'll start working on finding property owners, but we may actually go to bid and not know all of the exact locations, knowing that we want to put these in, but still trying to keep the process moving, we still may be searching for some areas. And then we may, if we run out, if we exhaust the areas that we're already, property owners we're working with, then we'll drive around, maybe find some ideal locations and talk to those property owners and see if they're interested.
So Brian, again, Main Street project will be from the bridge, Sauk River Bridge, to 1 block past up to the church?
It'll be just up to Red River.
Just up, okay, that's just, all right.
If we're going to do what we're talking about right now, what would that resolution look like?
Resolution to accept the stormwater grant offered by the Sauk River Watershed District.
That almost sounded like a motion, didn't it?
That's exactly
What?
what it
All
would
right, that's the
say.
motion.
Jan, thank you. Did we get a second to go with that?
I'll second it.
Jamie, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Get the money, let's do this right. But let's thank Jan for that motion. She did that very well, don't you think? I was pretty impressed. Jan, thank you. All right, what else you got?
So now we're going to backtrack to the Southwest Stormwater Infiltration Project. This was one we had talked about last year. We had actually postponed because by the time we were able to get things together on it, we were too late in the bidding cycle. So we're looking to go out for bids, start advertising April 26th, bid it on May 10th, and then hopefully approve it at the council meeting on May 10th.
That was 11 sites, wasn't it?
10 or 11, yeah.
Okay.
And I think the plans were included in the packet, and otherwise I can answer any questions on the plans. What we just approved prior to this will get incorporated into these plans.
You had a resolution in your packets, and you had another resolution when you got here tonight, and the only difference is this one's got the dates on it that for the bidding and the approval. You didn't have those on Friday, so.
Brian, do me a favor. Give the everybody here and at home 30 seconds. What is it exactly, or it's close to exactly, what are we again talking about? You said this many sites. Sites of what?
About 10 sites, we're taking an existing catch basin, so what you see in the curb line that takes the stormwater in, normally they're shallow, and then they feed into the bigger storm sewer. So we're taking those out, we're gonna dig them out, put a deep catch basin in, so the pipe will still be at the same elevation, and below it we'll have a sump. So about a 2 or 3 foot sump that's gonna hold water, so it'll fill that up first. What that does is it allows things like sand to settle out to the bottom. Off of that, we're also going to, before this pipe that goes out, we're gonna have a pipe that goes out down the boulevard that's perforated, surrounded by rock. So as that fills up, it'll fill up the bottom, the sand will settle out, then it'll start filling that pipe up with water. When that gets full, if it's a big rain event, then the storm sewer acts like normal, goes down the normal pipe. What that's doing, it's taking the first flush of water. The first flush of water tends to be the dirtiest, so we're getting the sand out of it. It tends to have the most nutrients in it, phosphorus, basically, that comes off the lawns, things that were sitting in the road. Things that are bad for your waterways tends to grab those and infiltrate them into the groundwater, and so it can soak through the soil and be neutralized before it gets directly to the trout stream. It also controls temperature. That first flush of water is the warmest. On a hot summer day, you get a rainstorm, pavement is 90 or 100 degrees. That warm water is bad for the trout stream. They want cold water. So trying to take that first flush of warm water out of the trout stream.
Excellent, well done. Didn't think you could do it that fast. Well done. All right, council, what do you think? Should we approve or disapprove of resolution 2016-27?
Make a motion to approve.
Jan, thank you. Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve it. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations, we've just approved another resolution. You have enough resolutions to keep you busy?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Brian, what else you got for us?
Wells.
Wells what?
We met with the Fraleys last week to discuss the land purchase. We're getting closer on the additional land. We were talking about irrigation, power, those sort of things. So we did have the Stantec crew is out to look at the wetlands. They've been out there. We have probably another 3 weeks yet to basically wait on the regulating agencies have to approve that. The wetlands were generally in the places we thought they'd be, which is good. It's just something that has to be done in order to record a plat. So moving along.
Council, questions? Okay, what else you got for us? Council, what else do you got for him? Brian, again, well done. Thank you. John, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, council, we're going on to item number 10 on the agenda. Chief, that's you.
All right, bye, John.
See you, John.
John, have a good night.
Pass these out, so you got some to look at. Oh, yeah. All right. All right, so the packet that I gave you in front of you is the months of January, February, and March for the city of Cold Spring and Richmond. What it does not have on there are the incidences that would occur in Wakefield and Ford, which would be like TZD. I don't have those in there. Wakefield is very minimal. I think there's like 8 calls per month at best that we're doing currently. The other one, which would be 4, would involve mainly TZD. So I mean, so what you're seeing here is not 100% complete. I just left off those other ones because they really have there's nothing of basis. They will be in the year-end report. It just kind of, they're mainly traffic stops is what they are when you're looking at TZD and stuff like that. So if you don't mind, we'll just go through these here really quick. January 2016, the city of Cold Spring, we had 369 total calls, 21 medicals, 7 ordinance violations, 10 suspicious people vehicle reports, 212 traffic stops occurred in January in the city of Cold Spring. There were 205 warnings during those stops and 107 citations occurred there. There was 119 miscellaneous calls for police services during the month of January in Cold Spring. During that month in Cold Spring, there were 13 drug violations and 3 alcohol, with one of them consisting of a DWI. There have been 2 warrant arrests, and one of the officers worked on a fraud case in the month of January in Cold Spring. February 2016, there are 351 calls in the city of Cold Spring, 25 medicals, 13 suspicious people or vehicles, 196 traffic stops, 202 warnings with 79 citations. There was 117 miscellaneous calls in the city of Cold Spring during February. And in the traffic stops, there were 9 drug violations in the month of February and 3 alcohol, none of those being DUIs. They've been like open containers, things like that. There were 2 warrant arrests in the month of February, and then another fraud case that occurred in February. And let's see here. And 1 assault case occurred in the city of Cold Spring in February. March 2016, the city of Cold Spring, there were 345 calls for service. There were 17 medicals that we assisted at, 13 suspicious people or vehicles, 199 traffic stops, 175 warnings in those stops, 102 citations were issued during those stops, and we had 161 miscellaneous calls in the city of Cold Spring in March. 2 drug violations and 1 alcohol, and that being a DWI in the city of Cold Spring in March. There was 1 warrant arrest and 2 cases of theft that have been investigated. Number 4 is if you were to compare this year with 15 and 14, I do like to do some comparisons once in a while. For the first 3 months, if you look in 2015, for those first 3 months, we had 835 calls. This year we had 1,065. That's an increase of 230 calls for Cold Spring. If you go back even farther in 2014, that number was 494 in the first 3 months in 2014. So that was an increase of 571. And I also put in there two of the main reasons would be we no longer cover Wakefield Township. So instead of taking calls and having traffic stops occurring in Wakefield Township, they now are pretty much consistently occurring in Cold Spring and Richmond. So Richmond's numbers are higher too because of that. And the other addition of that float investigator, you actually, by doing what we did, having that float person hired in January, you had made the force go from 8 full-time to 9 full-time. So obviously that would be a huge increase, for call load there. Now if we look at number 5, this is January for 2016. This talks about just strictly Richmond now. There are 78 calls in the city of Richmond in January of this year. 3 medicals, 1 suspicious person or vehicle call. There are 49 traffic stops. There's 41 warnings and 25 citable offenses during those. And 25 miscellaneous calls, which is very average for Richmond currently at this point. We had 2 cases of an assault, two separate assaults that occurred in the city of Richmond in January. Then we'll go to February. In the city of Richmond in 2016, There were 90 calls for service, 6 medicals, 1 suspicious person vehicle calls, 57 traffic stops, 50 warnings during those 57 stops, 34 citations, and 26 miscellaneous calls. There was a fraud investigation during the month of February, and there was also a theft. I don't recall what that entailed, but in February, I had that in City of Richmond. March 2016, City of Richmond had 89 calls for service, 4 medicals, 2 suspicious people, vehicle reports, 57 traffic stops, 59 warnings during those stops, 26 citable offenses that were cited, 26 calls for service during that month of March. There was 5 drug violations and 1 alcohol violation that occurred in the City of Richmond at that point, and that was not a DUI. There was a warrant arrest and a criminal damage to property that occurred that month in the City of Richmond. Just March 30th, I did speak. This is the second year in a row now. They have a youth skeet team that it's not just Cold Spring. There's kids from all different schools, and for whatever reason, they asked me to come and speak again at their first annual meeting that they had this year. And we just briefly spoke about, not necessarily gun safety, but what's the difference between if you were to have let's say a firearm in Richmond versus Cold Spring. There's people that maybe aren't aware of, if you're in the City of Richmond, because it's under 2,500 people, the gun does not need to be cased. If you're in the City of Cold Spring, because it is a larger community, it does need to be cased. So there's those kinds of things. We talked about what's appropriate to bring to school, what's not appropriate to bring to school, so they don't have that being a problem. We had that discussion again. We did have a photo op here on the 6th of April, so we're on number 9. We did have the K-9 fundraiser where we had a little more than $17,000 in 3-4 months time. So we have enough money for the dog. We are meeting with, I don't recall which organization it is. Jason's lining this up. I think it's a Rotary Club out of St. Cloud. They requested that we either write them a letter or meet with them. So I'm hoping Jason meets with them other than just writing them a letter. But they're willing to make a donation also for the K-9 program. And that's not necessarily going for the dog, because we have enough money now for the dog and some of the equipment. They were talking about buying the actual door pop for that squad car. When you have an apprehension dog, let's say you're chasing somebody, right? They flee from foot, they're a felon, whatever. The officer's chasing him. Obviously, he's not going to be able to catch up to him. It's a little remote that you'd have on your belt or on your keychain that you'd pop the door on for the dog. So the door itself opens up to allow the dog to come out without you actually opening the door. It's very expensive. Don't ask me why, but it's very expensive. So they're talking about making that purchase for us. So we are still looking for donations. So if people want to donate, businesses want to donate. We are obviously still taking donations, but currently at this point we have enough money for that dog, which is completely great news, because we are obviously, as I was telling you before, we're not looking to replace the dog until January. So it's kind of nice knowing here in April, you know what, we have that money setting aside. So when that comes and we can let the person know that we're interested in purchasing the dog, it's always nice to know we have money on hand for that purchase. So that's where that's at. And I know we are going to be talking about, I think, the addition on the advertising the part-timer, or is that already approved? Okay. So like I told you the last meeting that we did have one person apply. We chose that person. The problem was, I had said before that there was 2 other cities looking at hiring him full-time. And I had said that the likelihood of him not getting hired full-time was highly unlikely. Well, that's exactly what happened. He got hired full-time. So I would like, at this point, to advertise for for a part-time officer. We currently have 3 part-time officers currently working for us at this point. Because of the float person, and Chris and I had this discussion, we don't have a real high need for a part-time officer to work the streets currently at this point. But the problem comes in when let's say you have a weekend where 2 officers are asking off. That float person cannot possibly fill both of those positions. So that would be when the part-timers would be needed. And then we also have events, obviously you all know, throughout the summer. Every weekend there's Fire Fest, for example, everyone works. River Lake Days, there might be one night where there's 3 working, you know, and then the next night on Saturday we'll have 4 people working on top of who's already working. So when we have incidences like that, that's where that 4th part-timer does come in handy. The highest number we've had that I can think off the top of my head, I think the highest we used to have at some points was like 7, 6 for sure, part-timers. So by having this float person, we have reduced those numbers already. But to say that we could reduce them any further, I don't see how that's possible. And by having by having that part-time officers, you know, it is cheaper to have the part-timers working versus paying overtime, you know, health insurance and all that stuff. The part-timers are paid a wage. You know, they do get the experience. So it's a benefit not just to the city, but it's also a benefit to them also to work here part-time. So it's not like we're using them and they're getting nothing in return. They're getting the experience to apply for another full-time job when it comes up. So we have lost lots of people, I'm not gonna lie, lots of really good part-timers, but that's to be expected. I mean, I'd rather lose a great part-timer than have a part-timer that we're like, you know what, we don't want him to work, you know, and he's not capable of getting a full-time job. So that's how we look at it. So I would like to be able to advertise for that part-time spot now. We did advertise the last time in the Cold Spring Record only, and looking back at that, that was clearly a mistake. I thought we'd have got more than what we did get to apply, just by word of mouth, if anything else, you know. I might regret this, but we probably should advertise in the Post Board. We're gonna get a ridiculous probably number of applicants when you do that, because that's people that are looking for jobs. So they go on this website, click job opportunities, right? And they'll see it. Now, whether they live in the southern half of Minnesota, the northern half, if they're looking for a job, they probably will apply. You know, that's the only, one of the negative things when you get a lot of people to apply. So that, I would request that we do that.
You don't know until you try it.
That's right. Well, we've tried it.
Oh.
You know, we have tried it, and that's why I didn't want to do this. To give you an example, we've done it in the past. We've done it numerous times in the past, right? But here's the problem. On one occasion, Phil and I actually had this discussion. He's like, what do you want to do? Should we, shouldn't we? I'm like, I don't really know anybody. You know what I mean? Currently looking for a job. We probably have to. Well, when you do that, you go from, let's say a great scenario, if we were to do the St. Cloud Times and the Cold Spring Record would be 12 people, right? Okay, that's easy to look through. You can maybe do this fairly quick, right? Yes and no's. But if you go through the Post Board, like we've done in the past, one job alone that we did this for, we had 148 people apply. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it goes from looking at the applicants in 20 minutes to now you spent well over an hour looking at these same applicants. And I'm not saying you can't look through them and say yes and no's, right? But the minute you separate them, you know what you catch yourself doing? Looking at the no pile, right? Going, is there someone I missed? Because when you, after you look at 100 of them, all of a sudden they start looking very similar. And you might not give that person that chance of saying, he could possibly be on the no's, but he could be on the yes. Or you look at him and go, how the heck did this guy get on yes when I've already put 5 of them very similar on the no's already? So it does take some time to look through them, which there again, I'm thinking we probably should just spend that time. I'd rather get a good person to apply and get a limited amount of hours out of this person and he leaves versus we get someone we wish we'd have never hired to begin with. That's my concern.
So you don't really have too many options.
We have the option of,
Going with that Post Board,
yes.
taking that chance with going through all of them.
Right, we could take the chance and go, we could try the Record, which we know of recent, it did not work well, right?
And if they're far away, they won't apply for a part-time job anyway, would they, or would they?
St. Cloud State offers skills training. Do you guys post job opportunities there with them?
You know, we can, but there again, I also don't want to eliminate, I went to Alex, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then would I want to keep my Alex people out of that loop? So then that's the problem. So now let's say we pick St. Cloud State, right?
Well,
And
you
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of places that currently have law enforcement education courses you can take, if that makes sense. So I don't, if we're gonna do this, it's very simple to get on the postboard. You know what I mean? You just type it up and send it. I know what you're saying, just go to one college, say, hey, we're looking for somebody. But I think if we do that, then you'll get,
Well, I'm specifically saying colleges that offer the skills training. Anybody,
Yeah.
I mean, the education, law enforcement, you mean, like you said.
Yeah, but
the skills
but-
training isn't offered at every college, is it?
No.
it is not, but there's several that do that now. Let's say, for example, everyone used to go to, let's say, Alex Tech, right? And lots of people would go to like North Mankato and stuff. Like St. Cloud State, right, just of recent just had it doing it, but you know where they get a lot of instructors from? Alex Tech. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but, there again, maybe we get lucky and we find somebody that has had the degree, is in a different job, you know what I mean? He's maybe not in law enforcement, but has that degree. He's maybe not looking for a full-time job. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. And where, if you go to like St. Cloud State, and you send it to the people that are going for, law enforcement, get their skills, they're all brand new, right? And you know what they're doing? They're chomping at the bit. They're going, yeah, hire me. I promise, I will stay there for 3 years. 6 months later, they're gone, right? People say what you want them to say. You could say, hey, we'll offer you a part-time job. What's the likelihood of you sticking around, and you're gonna say, I'll stick around.
Yeah.
And so I do agree what you're saying. I'm kind of hoping that we get somebody that's, like we have several part-timers. One's a full-time teacher. Dean is a full-time elementary teacher. He's completely awesome. The problem is when it comes to during the school year, he's very limited when he can work. You know what I'm saying? But in the summer, he's three months out of the year. You call him up, yeah, I'll be there. So I mean, it's completely great to have him. And we have a couple other part-timers that work full-time other places. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we don't get an officer that's working somewhere else wanting to apply for this, because that doesn't generally work.
And a part-timer has to have the same.
License, you have the same license, same, everything is a full-time. We've had full-time officers work for us in the past. Let's say they work full-time Sartell, right? And you call them and you know what they're gonna say? I only have every other weekend off already, or I only get every other Christmas off already. It's hard to get them to say, work please. Because I'm also in that same boat where you only have so many days off. At the beginning it might sound good to work somewhere else part-time, but in the long run, it's very difficult to get them to work. It becomes more headaches than it's worth. In the big scheme of things, yeah, it's easy to get someone working full-time to get them part-time here, because there's very little you have to do. You just piggyback off their license. But you just don't get your bang for your buck. It typically doesn't work.
Thank you. So, are you looking for a recommendation that Chris reads this request out loud?
Recommendation is to authorize the advertisement for one part-time police officer position.
And my understanding is that you're saying the advertisement would be the record and the post board.
We'll do the record, yeah, the record and the post board, which should be more than adequate.
Okay? Council, what do you think?
I'll make a motion.
Jamie, thank you.
Good.
Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Find us a good one.
And you know me, I've got to add 2 more things before we're done here.
Oh, I just had one question back on the list of all your calls.
Yes.
There's a couple instances that on there that occurred in consecutive months of fraud. Are those something that you want to talk to the community about as far as?
We do cover this quite, okay, when we're talking fraud, when they're on this thing here, they're not where, yes, my grandson called me from Canada, wanted me to send me money. Okay, we typically do not even do reports on those, okay, because here's why. Various reasons why. The main reason is those cases go nowhere, okay? This is why. One of the main reasons why. What happens is, in a lot of these scenarios, they'll go, let's just say I'm gonna completely use cities just because they're cities. What's gonna happen is somebody will go and they'll buy 50 cell phones, right? Let's say go to Walmart and they'll buy 50 cell phones, these throwaway phones where you buy the phone and it's got 500 minutes on it, right? They'll buy them in St. Cloud. Then what they do is they send them to Nevada. Then from Nevada they go to Oregon. Then to Oregon they go to British Columbia, wherever, right? So what happens is they'll use those phones there now to call residents here, okay? So when we go to track these phones, we may be able to find out where the phones originally came from, but to say we're gonna be able to figure out who's using these phones and which country they're in, it's completely impossible in this day and age. So we'll tell people, if you've gotten scammed, let's say for the IRS calls you, right? And says, yes, I've been scammed $2,500, by these people saying they're the IRS. Angie and the officers will give them a phone number to call, and they actually have people that investigate that through the IRS, okay? These frauds would be there again, this is completely made up, so if it sounds like a case, this does happen. Somebody's at the nursing home, right? And somebody came to visit them. And months later, they're starting to see charges on their credit card that they did not make these purchases, right? Somebody put a hotel charge on your grandma's account and she's in the nursing home. Obviously, she did not make these arrangements. She did not, stay at the hotel. We investigate those. Some things that we can actually investigate. So like that would be the prime example. So if there's a fraud case on there, that would be the cases we take. Okay? So if somebody's calling going, a tree service is in town or a driveway service is in town, and this has happened where they give a quote of $2,000. And I think we've actually had this conversation. There's a sweet little lady that's donated twice now because she had been a victim of this. She donated to the dog. And we didn't ask her to do this, so she's doing this on her own. We didn't tell her, if you make a donation, we'll help you harder in your case. But what happened was, this company came and tarred her driveway and said it was gonna be $2,500. About halfway into it, they said, you know what? We can't do it for $2,500. It's gonna literally be $3,700. So you know what I'm saying? They jumped that price. Well, what is she gonna say? Your driveway is halfway done, right? She knows no better than to call us right away. So what happened on that case was, I found out through the grapevine that they had scammed some other people in St. Cloud. All right. So in our line of work, we could say things that aren't. I'm not saying I'm lying, but I called this tar company, right? And I said, you know what? It sounds like you were here in Cold Spring. You gave a lady a price. And it turns out you charged her $1,200 more. Well, yeah, we had to because it cost us this much. Well, I said, St. Cloud PD is also investigating your same tarring service. If we put these two cases together, this could be a very serious offense. You know what I was able to get them to do? For one, her driveway was really lousy. It was like patches, literally like patches, right? And it was just like they just dropped off. Obviously the driveway like that tar is never gonna hold up. I was able to get them to come back to town, give her $1,200 back, do another overlay of tar, and add some dirt along her driveway to make it correct. So those things, if we could help out, we are going to help out as much as we can. But yeah, these frauds that you see on here, if we were to do a report on every case that someone called us and said an IRS scam, instead of seeing, let's say 1 or 2, I don't know, Angie, what'd you say, 20?
Yeah.
You'd have 20 a month. And there again, so for the officers to investigate 20 of these cases, knowing that they're going nowhere, to me, it's a resource we don't have. And we tell people. And it's not like we are the only department that does that either. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we're cherry picking these and saying, oh, it's gonna be way too much work, we're not doing it. It's all, I can't say all the departments, but I could easily say 80% of the departments around here are doing the very same thing, if that makes sense. You can investigate it to a certain point, but when you know that number you're never gonna track it down. And then when you're talking to these victims and you ask them, well, for one, how was their English, right? Well, it was very broken, or it was this or that. Those are fairly good signs that you're not dealing with a guy out of Rockville, you know what I mean, doing these scams. So yeah, we do not do reports on that.
Okay.
So if that makes sense to you?
Yep.
Okay.
I was
So
just curious if that's
it's generally the little old ladies, or, we've dealt with one where the guy passed away and someone got a hold of this deceased person's credit card. Those are the cases we investigate. Why? Because we have a really good reason to figure out that at some point this victim and the suspect had been together to get this actual credit card, right? So those are the cases I like working because there's a really good chance you're gonna solve it. So those cases. And is there any other questions on these?
No.
Okay. There again, these have nothing, you don't need to vote, so that's why I'm just throwing them out there. I like to put these out there because if I give it to you the next time I'm in here, it's 2 months old, okay? Like this first one is, I just got done last night at a public speaking event at the high school. They had parent-teacher conferences, and I got there at 4 o'clock when it started. We set up a booth, kind of like the booth that we had at the showcase, right? And I had the drugs displayed and stuff, so we had different parents that generally don't attend those showcases. I had several presentations, and then at 6:30, I did one in the auditorium where parents that may not have heard it before, or got there late, we did another presentation with all the parents, with the numerous parents were attending that. So I did that last night. And then I have 2 months ago, I did a talk for the teachers at the high school about the same demonstrations about drugs, what to look for in students, their physical appearance, their dilated pupils, and all those things. And the principals were there, and they've asked me to come back and do the paras. So we're actually going to do the paras on Friday. The very same thing. And I think that is an actual great idea, better than even the teachers, because here's why. Think about yourself. If you were in school, right, and you had a para in there assisting another student, right? After about, 30 days of that, are you probably even going to realize that the para is even in that room? Probably not. When the teacher walks in, guess what? You're going to watch exactly what you say and what you don't say because that teacher's there. So kids, I'm guessing, are going to maybe feel a little freer in their tongue about things that they probably shouldn't be talking about when it comes to drug-related items. And also the paras are going to see, are going to be much closer than the teachers probably get to these students. So we're going to do another talk, and that'll be Friday afternoon. They have a half a day or something at school. So I'm going to be going to the media center and meeting with all the paras. I hope it's the paras that are not just the middle school, not just the high school paras. I'm hoping it's the middle school paras too, because it would be nice to get, let's say, some of the troubled youth that are in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. If we could do something when they're at that age, it's a lot easier to take care of them when they're obviously older. So we're doing that. Otherwise, I've got nothing else.
Super. Thank you again. Council, what do you got for him? Nothing? Chief,
Okay,
again,
thank you very much.
Thanks,
We
Ben.
appreciate it. Thank you. All right. The next on the agenda is item number 11. This is Chris Dockendorf's turn.
Okay. First thing I have is a memorandum of understanding with Stearns Electric. If you recall, a while back, a couple months ago, I asked for your approval to apply for a loan with, Stearns Electric is kind of a go-between. It's a loan with USDA Rural Development, and it's for $1 million, 0% interest. It'd be for the wells. We would only accept the loan if we don't get enough bonding money to pay for it, when we still have that option to turn it down at the time if that happens, if we should get so lucky. But in the meantime, we're going to keep moving forward with applying for it. This memorandum of understanding is just laying out the terms of the loan. It's $1 million for 10 years, 0%, with an administrative fee. It's pretty straight up. It's exactly what they said it would be. I did have our attorney review it. She did not have any concerns. The only, thing was that there is some costs involved, and so I did ask Dave Greenis at Stearns Electric, what are those costs? And he said, it's just to pay the attorney fees for the loan documents. Shouldn't be more than a couple $1,000s at the most. So I'm looking for your approval to sign the memorandum of understanding and keep processing forward with the loan.
Council, what do you think?
I make the recommendation.
Dan, thank you. Can we get a second? Who seconded it?
I did.
Dave, thank you. Okay, Jan made the motion, Dave made the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Keep moving.
Thank you. Next thing is, this is a lease agreement that for an antenna, which is on our south water tower. And again, I was here brought this up to you a few months ago. Palmer Wireless bought out, Our payments come from Nucor Wireless, but I think the lease was actually with Wireless Communications. They have so many names, it's hard to know. You appointed Jamie and I to meet with them and negotiate a new contract. Maybe I'll ask Jamie to talk about it a little bit, if that's okay?
Absolutely. So we met with Albert Kangas, and he came in, provided us with his business plan, his short-term and long-term. What he wants to do is obviously his idea is to start something new with the city and continue the business he's got, and eventually add either more antennas to the south tower and/or our north tower so he can expand his service. And we felt that his plan was very reasonable, so we entered in the agreement with starting out May 1st. He's paid up through, he will be paid up through May here in the next few days to basically continue the business as usual, except under this new name in his own business. So he's using the existing equipment. And he's got one more antenna he has to add on there, and there'll actually be 5, but one is a bounce back that goes back to St. Cloud to actually get the signal to our tower. So the other 4 are for wireless Wi-Fi subscribers in the rural area. So he's trying to bring Wi-Fi to people who can't normally get it through normal hardware communications.
He also made a pretty convincing argument that the payments that had been negotiated the first time were part of the reason why the other company had to sell out.
Yeah.
And they say something to that effect. He said they were just really cost prohibitive, and we think we can do it if we bring our payments down.
Do we get a lot of inquiries from people that want to use the antenna space?
No. Mm-mm. I don't know that we've gotten any.
We don't, because it's more expensive to climb a water tower than it is an antenna tower.
Okay.
So the antenna tower is easier to get up because there's actually cable lines that run inside those. You just hook it on, pull it up, and then you get somebody to climb the tower and snap it in.
Okay.
Our water tower, it's a little more difficult, but it does make a perfect location sitting up on that hill for him, so, and it's already there.
The term of the lease was what, 5 years? Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
So, Chris, if I can ask you to read the recommendation?
Recommendation is to approve the proposed water tower lease agreement by and between the City of Cold Spring and Palmer Wireless LLC. Furthermore, to direct the mayor and city administrator to execute the agreement on the city's behalf.
Council, what do you think?
I'll make a motion.
Jamie, thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. I just have one question. Right now, where do the funds from this go? Do they go to the park? Do they go to, where do the funds go?
They go to the general fund, and it's more of just a general line item. It's not, kind of like interest. It's not going to any certain department.
Okay? And we're okay with it just going to the general fund, or would you rather dedicate it to something? No? Nothing?
I'm okay with it going to the
General
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 fund.
fund is.
Okay, excellent. We'll leave it, everything else go. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve it as it's recommended. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Congratulations, Jamie. Chris, thanks for your negotiations.
You're welcome. Next item I have is the EDA has met a couple of times with a couple by the name of Ken and Leslie Russell Martin. They own a business called True Balance. It's a mental health counseling business. They are currently renting in St. Joe, and they want to build in our business park. And they have a lot picked out just next to and north of the mental health clinic that's there. The EDA met last night with them and negotiated a price of 75 cents a square foot. It's a little bit less than we've been getting, and the reason is there's a major pipeline easement running through their lot, and that puts a little bit of a predicament for them. Not major. They can put a parking lot over it, not a building. If the pipeline ever needs to be accessed, it's their cost to replace their tar. So they asked for a small reduction in the price per square foot because of that, and the EDA agreed to that. So this is what these plans are, if you'd like to see what they're proposing. Everybody has a set in front of them. It's a 50 by 50 square foot building. just basically some rooms and a waiting area. They're very interested in doing a really nice job with the outside. They've consistently told us they want it to look homey. It's more conducive for their customers that they have. Fran, Jamie, you guys have met them. Am I missing anything or anything you want to add?
No, they wanted not to be a business like Statics. They wanted people that could come in here and feel more comfortable because of the situation. And they were also going to build a building with kind of like a home decor, and then they were going to put sidewalks around because Leslie said they do, in the warm weather, they do a lot of it outside talking. They don't like the couch thing. She said that's what she called it. They don't like the couch thing. So they're interested, and Jamie and I are in the EDA. We agreed to them to go ahead with it. There was one issue with Excel with a lighting, but they were out there today. Were they putting one up? I think they were.
They might have been fixing the one that got hit over the weekend.
Oh, that's what it was then. Because I drove past her and I saw, Chris talked about it. They're putting the
Boy,
light
they're
up
quick, huh?
already, you know, that.
No.
Okay, it was the one they were talking about.
Is this something that they want to start right away, and they have a time frame
Yes.
they want to be in by, or?
Their lease is up on 12/31 of this year, so they want to break ground by July and be in it by the end of the year.
Okay.
That makes it easier.
Yeah.
And they work really well with Corey, too, so, and
Yeah.
with everything else, and they, I don't know, look like good people.
You got it all.
Excellent.
One thing I just wanted to add was, they asked, the nearest street light is at the intersection of 11th, which is right where you turn off County Road 2, and Craze Mill Road, which is what they'll be on, but they are going to be on the very end of it, and there's no light on anywhere on that road, and it's very dark up on their end, so they asked if the city would put a street light up there. I did get a quote from Excel Energy, and I just got it today, so I'm sorry I didn't get this to you sooner. And they gave me two payment options. One, you pay more up front and you pay less monthly fee, and one you pay less up front and more monthly.
One check today and one tomorrow.
Yeah, one light is $3,531 and the other light is $4,590. I just did a quick calculation to see how long it would take to make up that difference in the monthly, and it's a roughly 7.5 year payback. So I can come back to you with this another time, but just know that it's coming.
Okay.
It seems like a fair request. It's pretty dark up there, I'm sure, so.
And you also brought up, Chris, since usually the developer puts the street light in, and we happen to be the developer, so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that'll be coming too.
And the other thing I'd like to remind the council is that if we approve it, when we approve this, we've already agreed that all the proceeds, sale proceeds, would then be used to pay down debt on the business park. So we're doing ourselves two favors, bringing in a new business and using that to pay down our debt. So.
And just to add to that, not just the sale money, but any future tax revenue.
Right,
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
Correct. All right, so council, any more questions about it? Otherwise, can I ask Chris to read the recommendation? All right, Chris?
Okay, it's to accept the recommendation of the EDA for the sale of Lot 4, Block 4 in the Cold Spring Business Park to True Balance Properties LLC at a purchase price of 75 cents per square foot, and to direct the city attorney to prepare a purchase agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Fran, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Jamie, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Again, True Balance? Thank you very much. Welcome to town. We look forward to being here. EDA, thank you for your work, and keep it up. Do more.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next item is pay equity. We talked about this at our last meeting. As expected, we got a notification that we are out of compliance. One thing that is new information is that in speaking with this Cindy from the Minnesota Management and Budget Department, she said that our point system is no longer compatible with the state job match. It was back in 97 when we started. There's been a lot of changes over the years, and she said as long as you're in compliance, nobody ever really evaluates those point systems until you're out of compliance. So we may have, those points probably haven't been compatible for years and we just didn't know it. And that actually gave me the idea that we get 90 days to come into compliance, as Kathleen explained to you last time. But what that would probably mean is you guys just deciding what jobs you're going to pay more and how much you need to pay to get them into compliance. And what I'm recommending is that we go back to the plan we started a few years ago, where we actually evaluate all the jobs and redo the point system so that it's correct. We have to do that anyways as part of coming into compliance. And at least then, if there are jobs that you're raising the pay for, it's based on something more tangible, and that is a solid point system that actually makes sense. So I've been told that you get 90 days, you can ask for an additional 90 days. We may or may not be able to get Kathleen to redo it all in 90 days, but if we can ask for 6 months, why not? That way we're not under so much pressure. So I'm recommending that we apply for a 6-month extension and get on with Kathleen to move that up the priority list and just get started on it. A lot of the work's already been done. A lot of the job descriptions have already been updated. I really don't think it's going to be too daunting of a task.
And again, Council, if you remember, we started out some time ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, asking the department heads at the time to start this whole process. We just were never able to get it completed. As part of the process of all of this, we've talked about, let's get the new administrator on board, and one of her first tasks can be to help us complete this process. So the combination of a bunch of different things, I like the idea of let's give ourselves enough time to actually finish the job, do it well, do it right, and then proceed. So what we're going to ask Chris to do is read the recommendation, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Recommendation is to request an extension of 90 days in addition to the 90-day grace period for a total of 6 months of time to come into compliance with the pay equity requirements, in addition to commission Murphy Management Consultants to finish the compensation update that was approved in 2013.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, Jan, thank you. Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. So you can make that application and you can see if we can get
Yep.
the 90 days and the additional 90 days?
We'll try.
Perfect.
We'll get as much as we can, anyways.
Perfect. All right, what else have you got?
Last thing is, as I mentioned in my memo to you guys, the department heads have been working on evaluations. Chris has done his department. John is working on his. I'm going to be doing one for John, and Chris's we did in June, and that just leaves me. So I was wondering how you guys wanted to approach that. I know in the past with the administrator, you guys have done that in a closed session. Do you want to do mine? Do you want to wait and have Bridget do it after she's been here for a while? I'm asking you guys.
Okay, again, it's a great question, but it's a theoretical question. We can bring Bridget in, and normally the administrator would be who would do the review. But is it fair to bring Bridget in on the 9th, and on the 10th, have her do the evaluation?
Yeah.
I mean, so does it make sense to do that? But there's another option. Bring her in, and then wait a reasonable period of time, and go from there. If you're okay with it, I'd like to turn this thing around just for a moment and say, Bridget, do you have any input on what we might want to consider doing?
It could be postponed for a while and be a joint, obviously I could do one with meeting with each of you individually to ask your input on Chris's evaluation, or me to do a closed session and meet and do it together as a combined one, but it's whatever. Since I don't know how evaluations have been done here, I'm not sure what the breadth of the evaluation looks like, so I'm not 100% sure I have a great answer for that yet, but.
Good. What do you think? Can we, would you be?
Let's just do it.
We just have us do it? Or would you rather postpone it for a while and get Bridget up to speed, or just do it?
I would like to have us do it, but
Yeah.
I'd like to have Bridget be a part of it.
Okay.
That's why I'd like to wait till after she starts, so at least she could participate in it, so that she gets kind of the
Knows what's going
legwork on.
That makes some sense too.
Yeah.
Okay? Are you okay waiting until sometime in May so that Bridget can be here, and then the council will do it at a closed session?
Sure.
Okay? Do we need a motion or anything on that, Nature? Okay? All right, that's what we're gonna do? All right, good. That's what we're gonna do. What else you got?
That's it.
No, really.
Yep. Pretty simple, huh?
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we're on item number 12 of the agenda. Chris, if you would, please.
Oh, wait a second.
It would be like this right here.
Okay. To review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental lists presented by city staff.
Let's pay our bills.
Fran, thanks for the motion. Can we get it seconded?
Second.
Jamie, thank you. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. All right, item number 13, general questions, comments from the council. Jamie, we're starting on your end.
I don't have anything today.
Dave?
I've got one thing.
Yeah,
April 23rd.
yeah.
I believe it's at 9 o'clock. Let the Sunshine Run walk at St. Boniface.
Okay.
They also have a silent auction. It's for mental health.
At what time, 9 o'clock?
I believe it's at 9 o'clock. I
And-
didn't write the time down. I wrote a lot of other stuff down, but let the Sunshine Run walk.
Excellent. They've been doing this for several years.
Yes.
It's been growing nicely.
It is.
It's well attended. It's supposed to be a very good, a very nice event. So we would encourage everybody to show up in it and support it. Okay? Dave, what else you got?
That's it.
Jen, what do you got?
My mom's 90th birthday party is April 23rd.
Really?
Yeah,
At 9
after the
o'clock?
Sunshine Run.
At
No.
9 o'clock?
No. I just had one question about planning commission.
Okay.
Candidates, anybody coming in?
We've had one application come in, and we have had a couple go out that haven't come back yet, so.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. Jen, can we look at the camera and just wish your mother happy birthday?
Yeah, you sure can.
Happy birthday, Jen's mom.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
All right, Fran, what do you got?
Nothing.
Okay. And all I have is, for those of you that have not already filed your income tax returns, remember that on the 18th, they're due. So make certain that you get them filed. All right. All right, so then it looks like we would be on item number 14.
I'll
We need
make
a
that
motion. Fran, thank you for the motion. A second?
Second.
Jamie, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Excellent. Another excellent meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.